Hey guys, how you doing? Hope you guys are having a great week so far. Yep, sorry I'm starting a little later than usual, but we're gonna get started pretty soon. Just hang on for just one moment. Hey Shay, how you doing? Glad to see you drop in. Alright, so for today, today is actually gonna be something that you guys had voted on earlier this week for what game we see you draw today. So today I'll be drawing Porky. In fact, I wanna do this long ways or short ways. I'll do this vertical. Yeah, there we go. So I think I'll just do it very quick report. So today might be a pretty simple one for today. Of course, I'm gonna start with simple shapes, for his body. Make give his nice stubby legs. I'm glad y'all picked this because I'd already did Daffy last week, so I was kind of hoping I get a chance to do Porky for this week. Bring his head a little bit more. Bring his legs out because they're kind of short and stubby, so he's bring those out at the bottom. Fun fact, I heard that they did extend the ground probably the great probably was on Reddit articles here that they actually did extend the playing of the new Looney Tunes movie up until like this upcoming Wednesday. Because apparently it was gonna go out earlier this past week, but it's actually going into this upcoming week, which is like that's pretty cool that they're doing that. Because I thought they were gonna do that anyway. Is that it be in theaters for at least about 2 weeks. But then also I'm hearing that currently is number 5 on the box office, so I figured, oh, that's even better. Maybe he's probably wearing a cap. His little mouth while we're at it. Let me get his open shirt. His boat. Get the other side. So I'm a little tired today, so that's why I sound a little more low key than usual. Also, I've got a few things I have to take care of later on today, so this stream may not be as long as the one I did for last week. Let me get his little hand. So he has his nose over at it. And like the other one, I'm not too concerned about keeping my model here. So you see, he's got a large head, but a very large crane-sized head. Kind of started out Elmwood Fun. In fact, both of their designs are pretty similar as far as construction goes, surprisingly. This is gonna be his other eye here. Get the brim of his hat. Maybe I'll make it a little, probably about a size too big for him. Maybe that's why he's kind of lifting it up. Yeah, but it's really good that movie's actually been doing pretty well. Even though I don't think it's still not at the point yet where it's gonna break even just yet. The fact that it's doing well, as it is now, I mean, that's a good thing. And I'm hearing that the DVD is supposed to be coming out, I think in May. May the 25th. Which I'm gonna be getting pretty soon. In fact, I'm almost tempted to go out and see the movie again before it's pulled from theaters. Because it's very rare, I've seen a movie that I actually wanted to go see, like twice in theaters. Because I'm trying to think, what are some of the other ones I've probably seen twice? Because the only times I've seen a movie twice, if I saw, with a friend, then I saw, some relatives later on, because I remember as a kid, first one I remember seeing twice here was that Jimmy Neutron movie. Saw that twice in theaters. Another one was when I went to go see Finding Nemo. And then of course I think a lot of it was from maybe the big movies at the time. I think it was some of the Marvel movies. I think at least in the Marvel movies, some of the early ones I remember seeing twice in theaters. Like Iron Man. I'm not trying to think who. I think the first Avengers movie. I remember seeing that. But especially with this movie, one of the first in a while, where I've actually went to go in theaters because I don't really go to the theaters that often anymore. Because I used to kind of do it all the time. But of course, that was before tickets prices here got really expensive. So I used to do it all the time, especially if I had a special like coupon or ticket deal going on. Cause funny enough, I think the last time I did go was I did go to theaters. It had to be, I think it was my dad. We went to go see that sequel to the movie Twister. It was Twisters. And you know what? It wasn't like a great movie. It was good. But it had that right nice amount of like campiness, and that the first one had. I think I did mention one of the last streams I did that yeah, I do found out that was pretty good. Like it still did well despite not having any of the original cast in the new one. I think before that Okay, I think it's looking pretty good, so I can probably go ahead and use the ink pen for this now. And before that, I think the only movie like I remember seeing in the theaters, I think it was probably when Die Hard was re-released in theaters in time for the 20th anniversary. They had showing at a couple of theaters, so I went to go see them when they had them there. And that was a lot of. Let me just switch out this pen. This one doesn't have any ink. I'm gonna toss this other one. I'll be right back. Alright, here I am. Yeah, they had re-released Die Hard in theaters for 20th anniversary, so they had played a couple of theaters. Right, so I went to go see it, and funny enough, I think I was the only person there. And the thing about it is, like, I'd seen it once before. I'd seen the whole movie, like, in full, like, years ago on TV. But this was my second time seeing it, but it'd been years, because it'd been years since, I saw it on TV the first time. So to see it on the big screen, it was almost kind of like seeing all over again. And especially, like it kind of seeing on the big screen in an actual theater really kind of enhanced the experience. And I know here in town we even have an older theater where they play a lot of like older movies. Like they play a lot of old movies, but they also play a lot of indie films too. I think here it's called the Plaza Theater. So they'll play a lot of indie films, a lot of cult classics. Like I know one time I went there to go see The Room. The infamous So Bad It's Good movie. I saw that there. And funny enough, Tommy Wiseau, the guy who made the movie, he was actually there because he actually did a little Q&A. I think it was either before or after the movie had started. But that was pretty cool. It was a really fun experience too because that was one of the few experiences where everyone's encouraged to get loud and start making jokes. And I was hearing all the right beats. It was probably one of the most fun movie ones I had in a while. But yeah, Plaza Theater, that's the one. And they'll do other films too, because I know they play Rocky Horror Picture Show. They play that movie they're constantly. I know one other time I went there, they replaying an old documentary film. Really, it's more of a concert film from the band Talking Heads. Stop Making Sense. And it's one big concert. And honestly, it's probably my favorite album by them because a lot of their stuff sounds so much better live. So that one was really good. Because here I am, there are certain theaters I'll go to, depending on how I feel. Some place I want to go to if I want good movie experiences. Other places you go, the tickets are cheap. Then there's other movie theaters I'll go to if I know if I'm looking for a certain movie, it's usually gonna play at this theater nowhere else. Because sometimes you'll be looking for see if it's playing in theaters, it'll be really kind of hard to find. And some places not playing in a place at all. Let's just go ahead and color this in. Alright. Let's get his eyes while we're at it. And it's kind of funny with that new Looney Tunes that's actually considered one of the first animated fully animated feature films. Because I could have sworn I did that before, but then I realized it is the first time because they had made films animated films with Looney Tunes in the past. Now not fully ones, not counting on the Space Jam movies. The thing about it, those were mainly more compilation films Quackbusters. What's another one? Let me think. Because let me look at some of the others. Bugs Bunny Superstar, Bugs Bunny and Roadrunner movie, the Looney Bugs Bunny movie, 101 Rabbit Tales. I mean, these were all movies that came out that feature animation. If you think about it, like those were more like compilation films, and they were basically just they just repackaged like old Looney Tunes films into one movie, and maybe they would like add some new animation, some new stuff around these older cartoons, but at its core, they're basically compilation movies. They're basically just repackaging old films rather than making a whole new film entirely. For an actual new plot. I think the first was Bugs Bunny Superstar, the Bugs Bunny the Roadrunner movie, then Looney Bugs Bunny movie, 101 Rabbit Tales, which I think I do remember seeing. Daffy Duck Fantastic Island. I've seen parts of it. It's pretty, but the new animated parts are pretty bad in that one. To be honest. Daffy Duck Quackbusters. I remember Quackbusters because I remember Cartoon Network when they used to have like cartoon theaters. They used to play that one a lot. They would play that one a lot. And the Looney Tunes Hall of Fame. I think that was the most recent like compilation film before Space Jam dropped. Let me get the side of his shoulder here. Yeah, I couldn't decide what I want to have Porky doing for this one. I thought about maybe I want to do something a little more exciting like Daffy, but I figured I'll just kind of keep it simple with him. Plus, like Porky's kind of known for being like the straight man anyway, so I figured that probably works best for someone like him. Alright, cool. So let's go and start coloring this guy in. Give me just one moment. Alright, here I am. So I know he has like a peachish pink color, so first I'm going to go over first, which is a little bit of this pink first. I'm going to go over this peach color I do have on hand too. It's funny, I didn't even realize until to read like how many of those compilation movies they had made. Because I knew of a couple, but I just didn't know they had made so many. Yeah, and I thought about because a lot of these are made because even though they think the last one I mentioned that even though it was made in the '90s and Quack was in the '80s, a lot of these were made in the '70s. And the thing about that came out, this probably came out during a time where probably wasn't as easy to watch Looney Tunes the way it was intended because keep in mind, sure, like by the time the '70s was out, a lot of these Looney Tunes they were being featured on TV. They had their own record shows on TV, like '70s and '80s. Only thing about it, like since this is before Cartoon Network, this is they were playing like major like news stations like ABC, like CBS. So the thing about it is like the networks they would heavily like censor the hell out of like these shorts like when they air on these major stations. So if you wanted like so there was a brief period in time where if you really wanted to see like these Looney Tunes shorts like as they were initially intended to be seen, with no cuts, you had to go see these compilation films. And plus I don't know if these movies were actually put on VHS just yet. I think a few of them probably were, but it might have been pretty early since it was the '70s. I'm just looking at some of these. I think while I'm drawing, I'm looking at some of these other ones they had, these other movies they did. Cause let me see, what does it say? The Bugs Bunny Roller movie aired on Cartoon Network, Disney. Really? Oh, this is new. This is newsy. I'm looking up for the Roadrunner movie. They said it aired on HBO, CBS, Disney Channel, Cartoon. Now Cartoon Network, I do vaguely remember that. Disney Channel, that's surprising. I don't ever remember what airing there. They must have aired it early on. CBS, I'm seeing that. HBO. Yeah, cause I recall maybe a few times in my life, like I had access to HBO. My parents, they used to have it for a brief while. The only thing about it, because it was so expensive, they really didn't keep it for long. Cause I think the oldest one was yeah, because they had the feature films. Of course, like they had all those different like direct-to-video movies, like Tiny Toons, I Spent My Summer Vacation, Tweefy's Hi-Fi Adventure. I remember that one recently. Looney Tunes, Rabbit Run. But trying to find one I just saw in here. It was more of a documentary one. Bugs Bunny Superstar, that's the one. And that one, that was it was really like the first, its kind, first like documentary film to kind of explore like the history of Looney Tunes. And interestingly enough, it was actually the first Looney Tune to not be distributed by Warner Brothers. And so it played a compilation of like different cartoons, but also included a lot of interviews with a lot of like the old school animators and directors from that time. So it had interviews with Friz Freleng, Tex Avery, Robert Kimson, Mel Blanc. No, actually, I think Kimson and Mel Blanc, they were intended to be interviewed, but they weren't involved. But they didn't get involved. And Clampett was in there too. In fact, now his contribution movie was actually pretty interesting because apparently what had happened. What happened is that when Clampett spoke about Looney Tunes, he spoke as if he was the sole creator, of Bugs Bunny. And this really kind of rubbed a lot of the other folks who worked it the wrong way because, just because, while he was a big presence, in comic and Bugs Bunny, he was, so was like Tex Avery since he directed his first cartoon, and also Chuck Jones, Chuck Jones as well. And in fact, in the following next film, Bugs Bunny the Roadrunner movie, which that one Chuck Jones actually had the more direct involvement with when he had there was a brief scene where Bugs Bunny was taking a tour of his mansion and he actually has a wall of all the different directors that direct his cartoons, and in that wall, Clampett's name was intentionally left out, so it was kind of like a jab back at Clampett, from Jones. Yeah, apparently, here's interesting, Joe. Apparently, a lot of like animators from the Golden Age, they really seem to have a thing for beefing with each other. Alright, so I'm just going to use some peach to kind of go over this a bit more. I was going to try to do like a double feature, try to do like a second drawing here as well. But I don't think I have time. I don't really have time to really do like 2 drawings today like I thought I was. So I'm just gonna go over, get to this one that's fairly quick. Actually do it, and also so I can have room for the other stuff I have to take care of today as well. So, as I if I want to color, do I want to do it in blue like he normally wears, or do I want to do a different color? It's funny to think, of all the Looney Tunes characters, this guy is actually, I think, the oldest out of all of them. Out of all of them. Yeah, because I think he's got both Bugs and Daffy beat by at least, I want to say by at least three, I think 3, 4, because the first short came out was in 35. And the first Daffy short came out in 38. So it's like 36 or 37. So he's gotten beat for at least 3 years. And I think the first Bugs, well, technically the first Bugs Bunny short didn't come out until like 1940. Even though he had like a number of other cartoons like throughout the like late 30s and into the early 40s where he had a prototype of him. Yeah, and it's just good that the new movie actually kind of Ash has a movie where he actually gets a lot too. Because I was thinking about how a lot of the old other Looney Tunes that's kind of come and gone, especially with Space Jam, that they didn't really give him much to do. And here, like in this new one, they actually give him a lot to do. A lot to do, especially since he's actually part of one of the main characters too. So that's cool that they actually do that. I figure probably just stick with his blue. But also, I hear that with the new movie kind of doing well. I think part of what kind of sparked is that apparently HBO Max apparently they removed a lot of the all of their Looney Tunes shorts from HBO, which I didn't know until very recently because I don't have HBO Max, so I didn't really know until just recently. Although I'm hearing that Tubi they're acquiring some of their stuff now because I hear that Tubi they've acquired Celeste Tweeds Mysteries. They've also acquired the new Looney Tunes show. They've acquired that, so they'll probably be moved there. But of course, but it's still too early to say, what's going to be going on with that. I've heard some folks say that Tubi's probably acquiring all their shorts. I've heard people say that maybe Disney might acquire them, which I don't think. I don't know if Disney's gonna even bother with that. I've heard some people say that maybe there's a possibility that because apparently they released a new DVD where they remastered some of the older cartoons. I figured maybe they're taking them off for time being, so they can actually so I can re-upload them to the stream service, more remastered version because that I think that does happen a lot of times with some of these streaming services where if you play some of their old cartoons on there, they have these really like old like low quality prints, and so they want to upload with some new ones. Because I know Pluto TV used to have, I don't know how it is now, but I know when I first started watching on Pluto TV, they used to have it really bad where I forgot which channel it was, but they had dedicated like the really old cartoons. And they had scattered them on like several different studios. Sometimes they play some stuff from famous studios. Sometimes they play some stuff from Walter Lantz. But they would play a few Looney Tunes shorts too. But the thing about it is like these were all like old colorized versions of black and white cartoons from like the 30s and 40s. And the thing about these colorized versions, so these color versions that they play, these are ones that were made like in the 60s. And what they do is they outsource to I think a place like Korea where basically because it's to save up on time and money, the animators drew over every single frame rather than every single frame. So what ends up happening is that the image is looking really choppy, and some of the colors just look really bad. Like it wasn't until I'd probably say like the 90s, I think, when they did like new versions, these colorized versions where I think Ted Turner did these where instead of trying to do my frame, they just cut them in digitally. And sure, like some people had issues with and sure, some people had issue with those too, but at least they look a lot better than the early ones made. Okay, let me see what else I can add here, because I'm just almost done with this one. Yeah, because once I'm done with this, I'm going to show you guys kind of what I've been working on for the past couple of days. Figure I'd use some yellow to kind of make them pop just a bit more. Give me just one moment. Don't worry, I'm not going to forget his feet, so I'll definitely get the bottom of his feet in just a moment, too. That looks good. Let me see, where's the pen I just had? I just had it a moment ago. Where's my pen? Where's my pen? Oh, here we go. So let me get his color in his little hooves. I'm trying to remember who was. I'm trying to remember who was the guy that did Porky originally, because I know because even though I think Mel Blanc did, because while Mel Blanc, you know, he's the most famous for voicing Porky in the original cartoons, he actually used to have a different voice act beforehand. That's okay. I just found that Joe Doherty. So Joe Doherty, you know, he was also a pretty famous like actor, you know, voice actor from back in the golden age. Now, what's interesting with Doherty, you know, for him his voice, he actually had an actual stutter. So that was actually a thing he actually had whenever he spoke, and they basically just implemented that, you know, like in Porky. The only thing about it is that they didn't kind of let him go because, you know, like since he had an actual stutter, he had a lot of trouble like controlling it. So once they got him out there and they got Mel Blanc in, and pretty much, you know, the rest, is history. In fact, he's had a number of different voice actors over the years, because of course after Joe Doherty, of course Mel Blanc did from for several years. Jeff Bergman took over. You know, in fact, Jeff Bergman, he was kind of like the guy in the '90s that really took over just about nearly all the Looney Tunes characters in the '90s after Mel Blanc passed. Noel Blanc, I think that's Mel Blanc's son. I think he took over him. Rob Paulson, that's right, because Rob Paulson did him about a few times. Bob Bergen, yeah, because Bob Bergen, he still does them every now and then. Joe Lasky, he did for a little bit. The late Greg Burson, he did it too. Eric Goldberg, I think he did him once. I think he did him in the Space Jam movie, if I recall. He did him in one or two special around that time. Billy West, he did him a few times. And then of course, Eric Bauza, you know, he's kind of the new guy because does both him and Porky in the new movie. And Eric Bauza, he's kind of like the new like it guy that kind of like taking over like the role for the new Looney Tunes characters. Because he really kind of like nails like their personalities down. Because it's one thing to just do a good voice for them. It's also another thing if you can kind of nail like their personalities. Okay, so I think we're just about done here. So let me show you guys, you know, what I've been doing, you know, aside from this guy. So I haven't really done that much. It's mainly just been a lot of, kind of like some rough sketches. Like I know this particular one that I did, this is something I did earlier this week where I tried drawing the Road Runner and Wile E. Coyote like in human form. I might try, I'm definitely planning on drawing this again in the near future. I might try drawing him a different design for my Road Runner guy here. Cause it's funny, I think I posted online something. I think some people like it, but some people thought it looks weird. So I might give him a go on him. But I thought about drawing him as kind of like a track runner, kind of like Usain Bolt. I thought about him maybe being more like an outdoorsman. Maybe he's like a poacher, or maybe a wildlife person. So I thought about doing something like that for him. Here's just some other little sketches. This is another one I did. Now this is something I tried getting back to doing more characters. I tried drawing the police, in character form. The only thing about it though is like I think it turned out okay. I think it still looks a little off. But then that's just the weird thing about characters. They're always kind of hard for me to get right. So I figured I'd try drawing a different group of police, at the bottom. I think maybe the Springfield police, as the group. Trying to think of anything else over here I've been seeing. And here's some other like characters. I think I tried drawing some stuff from NWA. Tried drawing MC Ren. Tried drawing Ice Cube here at the bottom. Trying to see, is there anything else here that I haven't shown? No, I think that's pretty much it. And of course, I know most of you all remember this from last week. That turned out fantastic. So yeah, that's pretty much I got it for today. I'm sorry today's stream is being a little bit shorter. But I actually have a lot more things I gotta take care of for later on today. So this one ended up having to be a little bit short. So guys, I hope you all really did enjoy, like this particular stream. I know it's a little shorter than my other ones because I don't have much time today that I did last time. But I hope to see you guys again around the same time next week. In fact, hopefully next week I'll just stream on Friday again. And so in the meantime, guys, I hope you guys have a great day, have a great weekend. And I hope to see you all again soon.